As of last episode's catastrophic blunders, or ERS, this is where I find myself. In a balloon that is somehow stationary in the sky, gathering solid pieces of wool that make up a hot air balloon so that I can then take that wool and make bandages that heal me in seconds. However nonsensical the circumstances may be, the fact of the matter is, everything in my inventory is perishable, whether I like it or not. And although I will try my little best to have that not be the case, please indulge me in a soliloquy, if you will. Sweet Shavaxi. He's made the mod pack equivalent of a pixelated meat grinder. I love it. Hey, just in between yous and me, I've never made an atlas in Rlcraft. Yes, Timmy? How did you navigate in previous... Yes. Anyway, I need protein because I'm going to be running for a substantial amount of time before I find something even worth looting. You may think it's presumptuous for me to think that I could actually loot something, especially given my track record. However, I assure you, it will not be nearly as arduous. The aforementioned skill atrophy will be lessened. Although the margins of that lessening might be minimal. Who's crying? Not me. I'm just sweating from my eyes. Anyway, I decided to keep the armor minimum. Definitely not out of necessity. It's a fashion choice. It's for comfort and ease of movement. Yeah, look what we have here. I have affectionately dubbed this structure the Terrible Towers. Although the towers are really singular, it's more of a conglomerate of buildings connected at the foundation. But the name is entirely irrelevant. It's more of a testament to my past experiences with this set piece. As you can see, I attack this set piece with the utmost precision, but I notice a small ore mound afar off. This will probably be used for armor. I wait for nightfall so I can effectively set up camp. In preparation for my inevitable demise, I don't want everything in my inventory to be perishable, so I do the smart thing and store up my treasures, make a shield, and move with unwavering fidelity. The first mob that needs to be neutralized are skeletons. Get enough of them to spawn in the open area, you can go ahead and kiss your loot goodbye. And for this endeavor, I ultimately end up forfeiting my life, but this is all a part of my plan. Now, stage 2 can begin. Use high ground to funnel mobs and administer damage from an advantageous position, which can only be hard countered by entities that don't respect the laws of physics. Don't respect my planning. Did I mention the Lacanite mobs in this mod are a piece of shit? Now the Vindicators are filling up, and the Banshee is still alive and kicking, unfortunately. I managed to get the wall back up. Infernal Vindicators. Now experience will be mine. Never mind. Apparently there's a small chance of Vindicators spontaneously combusting as a consequence of me actually trying to play the game the correct way, and my experience was robbed from me as a result. Nice. Now I have to risk my life to reconstruct this wall, which I'm starting to think is flawed in some way. In what way, you ask? Not quite sure, but I don't need brains to make progress, at least not a lot. But there's been an interesting development. That mob engulfed in purple flames is what is called a blighted mob. Blighted mobs are juiced up with extra health, speed, damage, and growth thorns from their body. A lot of risk, but that risk offers a substantial reward. The reward being a grandiose amount of XP, which I desperately need. But like I mentioned prior, thorns. Yeah, I got pricked today, but I eventually got the reward. But hey, now it's back to doing what I do best, and that's doing things suboptimal. I know you're shocked. I am too. I actually made it into the building, but the celebration can't last too long because of the audio file glitch, but it's a Lacanite mob event, so you could probably assume what happens next. A silent shadow, sharp and keen, the hunter flies, rarely seen, with golden eyes that search the ground, talons ready without a sound. A sudden dive, a powerful strike, the master of air, the king of height. But to put it in layman's terms, screw these birds, and Lacanites in general, really. Anyway, after that crapshoot, let's finally get back to attempting to loot this set piece. Or not. I feel I've gleaned all that I could at my current level of strength, and further attempts would be a waste of my free time, which is already very limited. So I just loot some other set pieces that are more easily cheesable and or more forgiving of my current loadout. I found an interesting structure, and that's about all it was. Nothing of note. Then I found my bread and butter structure and a underground battle tower. And unfortunately for me, I'm currently a nomad, so I do the usual setup and rush in with the utmost confidence. This wasn't going to be like the last time. Then proceeded to get killed by zombies burning thorns. I get my stuff back and promptly go back to the pixelated hostile entity meat grind and lean very heavily on the fact that mobs have never had swimming lessons and use water for area control. I then rightfully realized that this strategy was trash and go back to the coveted ganker hole. Sorry man. A little time has passed and I eventually got what I needed, but at the cost of everything that I had on my person. Well, to be honest, it's quite fine. The larger goal that I neglected to mention is that this exercise is really for XP collection and skillable upgrades. champions. Any loot obtained from this venture is inconsequential to this goal. A XP mole rat is what I would label it, but like a lot of mole rats, there is a time where venturing outside of the holes of my tunnels is necessary, but not in this case. TDM, or treadmilling, is born. So I decided to spice it up by basically throwing caution to the wind and getting in on the worst mob to get in on in the game, and promptly get introduced to the master of this battle tower. He doesn't notice me, however, so I partition the potentialities of the situation and ultimately decide to mine out the wall, which actually ended up being the worst possible decision. You probably aren't surprised, but in that moment I really was in disbelief, but it's fine. Well, back to square, like, -1. I mean, I had iron tools and weapons before, and now I don't. The Lycanites ate them along with my cubic flesh. Let's get back into this tower and get these chests. Oh wait, although I haven't opened a chest, the loud chink chink of my bones shaking in terror of the pressure from the tower golem ended up alerting him of my trespassing, and I was subsequently dealt with. Anyway, I got what I came for. Moving on, slowly, and I mean slowly, I am building myself back up until I happen upon a familiar structure, the Bastille. Although it doesn't hold political prisoners, it does stand as an oppressive structure, a structure I will later visit once power creep is engaged. I happen upon another village. Enchant, book, library man has good book, capsule library man. The winter is upon us, and dying isn't something that aids my progression in any way, so I make wool armor as to dampen the effects of hypothermia. Look at that, 2 towers next to each other. Surely nothing bad will happen. I ended up venturing off, just marking them on my atlas. I have plans for those later. But those plans will have to wait. There is a sea serpent right there, and he's gaining. Quick, use the recall in the hotbar. Oh, wait. For those half asleep or not aware, allow me to give you a word of advice. You cannot use consumables in a boat. You must first dismount, then use your right-click actions. Moving on. We're down, but not out. I swam to the nearest structure, and although there was a sea serpent having the time of his life right beside me, in spite of that, I was able to procure a boat and other materials. I then happened upon another similar structure, towers. Of the twin variety, cheese has been enabled. I was setting up when I was rudely interrupted by a crimson sea serpent. Yeah, I mentioned in the previous episode why underground battle towers were my favorite structure, and you're seeing it on full display. Is this repetitive? I feel like it's repetitive. Let's get to some real progression. Boom, Port City. How's that for progression? First, I commandeered the iron from the water. Then I went home. Yeah, for the people watching this, like I said, I'm a veteran. I've been retired for a while now. Some things are just going to slip my mind, unfortunately, but I've gotten myself a good bit of goodies by this point. So I would say mission successful, but with those goodies, I make myself some protection, air quote. This is for all intents and purposes only marginally better than my skin as is. But with that out of the way, behold viewer, I have evolved. In the advent of my tumultuous mental errors, strategies are now becoming apparent to me, and I even learned how to deal with blighted enemies, which ultimately netted me copious amounts of XP. I can now wear diamond armor when I get and will soon be in position to get dragon armor. I feel like I'm on top of the world. Oh wait, I forgot this is Rlcraft, real life craft. And similar to real life, there are always going to be untimely events and circumstances that are outside of your sphere of influence. In the real world, it manifests itself as getting laid off. In Rlcraft, it's like a night mobs clipping through walls, robbing you of your WASD actions and your inevitable death. I was luckily able to put points into my skillable armor before my demise, which softened the blow of losing all my XP and not putting it to use. And like I said before, my inventory is largely perishable, so I'm not going to even waste time with immaterial entities guarding my loot. I can wear diamond now, and in light of that development, I loot a battle tower not for XP, but this time for loot, and still somehow end up dying. I am about to engage in an extremely risky strategy, and it's called being overconfident because I have diamond armor. Come on now, this is Vintage Chef we're talking about. Oh boy, now they have my stuff. What do we want? XP. When do we want it? Sometime in the near future. A village. Shiny bookman trash. Other shiny bookman good. Capture him. A villager. Dorm? I don't know what it's called, but one of the white coats have a chance to have a mending trade. So let's do it. I was searching for the white coat, and then that's when I saw him. The guy from Monster vs. Aliens. He came up to me because he's seen my videos, but it quickly turned violent. Although I have zeal and courage, my legs are yet weak, and apparently there's someone already in my bed, so I can't even go back home yet. Well, I guess I'll just do what I always do. Get food, wool, wood, and tools. Basically raid a village. And in a few easy steps, we're back home like something ever happened. Wait, what? My time has come. It's time for dragon skin to encroach upon my fleshly being. With this, I will obtain great power. So this is probably going to be the fight for the ages. I venture off to find the dragon, get to a post to shoot the dragon, get ganked, shoot the dragon, and then shoot him some more. And eventually, after shooting him so many times, he was too weak to fly. And a grounded dragon is a dead dragon. Now, I loot his corpse, but let's be honest, that was the easy part. Now, I actually have to make my way back home. And knowing Rlcraft, it can sense when I've made a substantial jump in progress. The mission now is to get home, which I did with minimal issue surprisingly. However, I still need a bit more XP before I can wear it. This bookman bad, this bookman good, this bookman very good. To those unaware, lifesteal is one of the most essential enchants in Rlcraft. Sometimes it can be hard to come by, but when it does, it can really break a game open because you can now bear the assault of mobs coming your way. Anyway, this bookman also very good. Advanced power 4, a stronger version of vanilla power. Also a pivotal enchant that moves the needle considerably. I now have a clear path forward. I have enchants, armor, and a particular weapon in mind. Now all I need is more XP. Bookman good, yeah. Moving on. I am readying myself for gaming to commence. Skillable upgrade achieved. Now that I've mapped my progression route a little bit more, XP is really the only thing standing in between me and late game. And to those who care, I can now semi-confidently best a tower golden. I still need to evacuate though. My loot success percentage is looking great. I still have trouble felling dragons though, which is to be expected. Luckily, I was just burned and not blown away. Otherwise, my progress would have been considerably set back. But I really just want the dragon's blood for my official early mid-game weapon. Bookman good, and I'm not much closer to having my mid-game weapon, which are the flame dragonbone nunchucks. Pretty much the meta. I have no originality. Anyway, I'll leave mid-game progression for a next episode. Like if you like it, sub if you love it, and I'll see you in the next one.